Unexpressed emotions will never die. They are buried alive and will come forth later in uglier ways. One day, in retrospect, the years of struggle will strike you as the most beautiful. Being entirely honest with oneself is a good exercise. Most people do not really want freedom, because freedom involves responsibility, and most people are frightened of responsibility. We are never so defenseless against suffering as when we love. Out of your vulnerabilities will come your strength. Where does a thought go when it's forgotten? A woman should soften, but not weaken, a man. Whoever loves becomes humble. Those who love have, so to speak, pawned a part of their narcissism. He that has eyes to see and ears to hear may convince himself that no mortal can keep a secret. If his lips are silent, he chatters with his fingertips. Betrayal oozes out of him at every pore. Religious doctrines are all illusions. They do not admit of proof, and no one can be compelled to consider them as true or to believe in them. He does not believe that does not live according to his belief. From error to error, one discovers the entire truth. Just as no one can be forced into belief, no one can be forced into unbelief. The virtuous man contents himself with dreaming that which the wicked man does in actual life. The only person with whom you have to compare yourself is you in the past. The mind is like an iceberg. It floats with 1/7 of its bulk above water. The interpretation of dreams is the royal road to a knowledge of the unconscious activities of the mind. Thought is action in rehearsal. Friendship is an art of keeping distance, while love is an art of intimacy. In the small matters, trust the mind. In the large ones, the heart. The more perfect a person is on the outside, the more demons they have on the inside. Love and work, work and love. That's all there is. The conscious mind may be compared to a fountain playing in the sun and falling back into the great subterranean pool of subconscious from which it rises. Public self is a conditioned construct of the inner psychological self. We are what we are because we have been what we have been, and what is needed for solving the problems of human life and motives is not moral estimates, but more knowledge. Neurosis is the inability to tolerate ambiguity. What a distressing contrast there is between the radiant intelligence of the child and the feeble mentality of the average adult. Men are strong so long as they represent a strong idea. They become powerless when they oppose it. Words are capable of arousing the strongest emotions and prompting all men's actions. Neurotics complain of their illness, but they make the most of it, and when it comes to taking it away from them, they will defend it like a lioness her young. My love is something valuable to me, which I ought not to throw away without reflection. The intention that man should be happy is not in the plan of creation. Men are more moral than they think, and far more immoral than they can imagine. The creative writer does the same as the child at play. He creates a world of fantasy which he takes very seriously. The more the fruits of knowledge become accessible to men, the more widespread is the decline of religious belief. Beauty has no obvious use, nor is there any clear cultural necessity for it. Yet, civilization could not do without it. My love is something valuable to me, which I ought not to throw away without reflection. Men are more moral than they think, and far more immoral than they can imagine. The intention that man should be happy is not in the plan of creation. Love and work are the cornerstones of our humanness. The creative writer does the same as the child at play. He creates a world of fantasy which he takes very seriously. What progress we are making! In the Middle Ages, they would have burned me. Now they are content with burning my books. Loneliness and darkness have just robbed me of my valuables. The interpretation of dreams is the royal road to a knowledge of the unconscious activities of the mind. Where ID is, there shall ego be. A man should not strive to eliminate his complexes, but to get into accord with them. They are legitimately what directs his conduct in the world. When a love relationship is at its height, there is no room left for any interest in the environment. A pair of lovers are sufficient to themselves. How bold one gets when one is sure of being loved.